Episode number 864, Creating a Layered Referral Machine.
You're listening to the official BNI podcast with BNI founder and Chief Visionary Officer, Dr. Ivan Misner. Stay tuned for networking and referral marketing tips from the man who's been called the father of modern networking, along with suggestions and insights into getting the most from your membership in the world's largest networking organization, BNI.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the official BNI podcast. I'm Priscilla Rice, and I'm coming to you from Live Oak Recording Studio in Berkeley, California, and I'm joined on the phone today by the founder and the Chief Visionary Officer of BNI, Dr. Ivan Misner. Hello, Ivan. How are you, and where are you?
I am at home this week in Austin, Texas. It's my favorite place. I'm always happy to be home. I've traveled so much in my life. It's great to be here. But I have a good friend on this podcast that I am really happy to share the podcast with. I've known her for a number of years. This is her fifth appearance on the BNI podcast. She was on episode 135, 297, 580, 788. I have a really good assistant. Dana is fantastic. And she gave me all that information. And I've got Dawn Lyons here today. Dawn is the executive director. She's been executive director for 24 years for the San Francisco Bay Area. She has over 60 chapters, well over 1,000 members, and is a Hall of Fame director. She's the only woman in the history of the organization to open 20 chapters in one calendar year. That is impressive. And there's only a handful of people that have ever done it. I mean, like 4. And she's one of them. Dawn and I co-authored an Amazon best-selling book entitled A Room Full of Referrals, which is about behavioral styles and how to network with people with behavioral styles. And we're going to be adding this episode today to the multiple episodes that we've done over the years. Dawn, thanks for being on. We're going to talk about layered referrals, layered referral machine. What were you thinking about this topic? What did you have in mind?
Well, what I love about this topic, Ivan, is that I actually kind of took it from your recent podcast, number 852. So I highly encourage the audience to listen to that. And the title of that is Take Off Your Bib. I loved it so much, but I wanted to create some action items around it to show people how to use a layered referral strategy. I think to get us started, though, we kind of got to have you tell the story of where this came from, the whole bib, take off your bib.
Yeah. So, I mean, I heard that it was a BNI director in South Dakota and a BNI member. I think his name was Bill. And the episode 852 is a classic. It's a remake of a podcast we repost podcasts that we think are great and it's time to do again. And rather than start them from scratch, we repost them. And so that was a classic. Bill was a prospective member, as I recall. And he said to the director, and I think it was the director that shared this with me. He said to the director, I love this concept. I've always really been about sales, and I'm in the sales business, and it's all about selling. But I realized as you were talking about this philosophy of giver's gain that BNI has, that it's really about us as an individual taking off our bib and putting on an apron. Meaning it's not what's in it for me, what can I get, but what can I give? And I just thought that was so powerful and so amazing. I did a podcast a long time ago and we did the classic. I think the original podcast was 125 and we reposted it recently. It's just a powerful podcast and I recommend people listen to it.
Absolutely. And I love it. And so what I wanted to do today is on that podcast, you gave 12 different ways that an individual can serve their fellow referral sources. So we don't have time to go over the 12 today. What I really wanted to focus on is sharing some strategies to have people layering their referrals so they truly create a referral machine. So Ivan, real quick question, going back to your consulting days, when you got a new client, did you do some type of an intake form with them?
I did. I sat down with them and I asked them a number of questions, and most of those were related to what their pain points were what their pain points were, what are the problems that they have, and particularly what are their afters? What are they looking for after I do what it is that I do? And so, yeah, my original interview with them was to find out what issues they had so that I could help them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that most businesses, especially our BNI members, have some sort of intake form. And my question is, though, really, are they utilizing that form for them, but to also possibly generate referrals, right, at the same time for their other referral sources? And so, Ivan, what professions were really simple for you to refer to when you were a business consultant?
So anybody in marketing, attorneys, HR people, CPAs, believe it or not, computer experts, because you go back to the early 80s when I was a consultant, computers were like new. And so I worked with a lot of computer people. So those are the kinds of, and sometimes what I would do, particularly after I started BNI, is that as I was writing something up to maybe do a contract with them, I would hand them my business card file with BNI members in it. And I'd ask them, are there any professions in here that you're looking for that you might want to meet? And that was a great way for me to give referrals.
Yeah, absolutely. I call that the business card thingy. There's a whole approach we have for that.
Podcast on that.
Yes, exactly. All right. So going back to the intake form, here's my thing. I believe that what if everyone's intake form had specific questions to ask from the possible new client about those people, those referral sources that are the easiest for you to refer? I think that we all know that they're going to need those services at some point, and you could be the one to refer them to your trusted network. So the intake form is the first step in a layered referral strategy. So audience, if you don't have a business intake form right now for you, please build one, create one, not just for your business, but for the sake of your referral partners as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a great start. But can you explain what you mean by layering? Because that's the title of this podcast.
Absolutely. So you had 12 different things that you could give to someone else, right? What I want to do is I want to take a few of those, show people how to automate it, right? And kind of have the set it and forget it, because then people will come to you. So let me take number 6, for example, on your list of 12. It's display their literature in your office. This is so simple. All we do is we get a multiple card holder or a brochure holder. We put it in our office and we fill it with our members' info. Then the automation part is fill when needed. I just recently took a brochure out of my chiropractor's office and it just made my life so much easier. Then we could roll on to number 5, which is endorse people's products and services. And to make this automatic, what if you endorse a referral partner in every email that you send out by adding it into your signature line? So a great way to do that is to go into your signature, go into edit, and start with maybe a PS. And it might sound something like this. P.S. I love doing business with local professionals. And this month, I want my network to know about Mr. Eric Sherwood at Foundation Body Therapy. Eric has been my personal massage therapist for over 6 years. He is so good. I see him twice a month. If you need a highly skilled massage therapist to help you with your aches and pains, I would love to introduce you to Eric. Now, this is just at the bottom of your signature line. And then I wouldn't even put in his website address. I would put in his booking URL. That way people go, oh, Dawn's recommending him. I can book right here. So it makes it super easy.
Can I just jump in real quick? I just recently did a blog on ivanmeisner.com where I talked about using a PS in your signature line. And I got to tell you, it was one of the most popular blogs I've done in the last year.
Awesome.
I didn't recommend this as a suggestion. I think it's a great suggestion. If I were rewriting that blog, I would add this as a PS to the signature line. I think it's a great idea.
Excellent. All right. So we've got 2 or 3 layers so far. Now we're going to move on to number 7, which is distribute their information. So many businesses have a folder or some kind of leave behind that they do with new prospects. So you can easily add brochures in there on your referral source's behalf. Again, this is once it's in your folders, it's kind of set it and forget it. It's done. Then my next favorite one is number 12, publish information. Now I want to think a little more high tech on this one. So what if you were publishing their information by adding them to your website? Yes, I said your website, meaning what if you added a resources tab? Then you simply have a profile for your trusted referral sources, meaning if I'm willing to put them on my website, people are going to know that I trust them. You can also highlight them in your newsletters. There's lots of different things to do. But let me just show you how the layers work, Ivan. So if we did this, and let's say that I'm a chiropractor and I get a new client. In my intake form, first layer, right? That's the very first layer. I ask, do you get massages currently? And if so, who do you go to? Do you like their work, right? I just ask them some questions. Then I give them a small packet of information about me. And I could put, let's just say Eric's brochure in there too. That's my second layer. I send them some kind of thank you for coming in email, and Eric is being promoted in my signature line. Now that's my third layer. Then the person comes in the office again. They see the business card holder with Eric's card in there. Fourth layer, they go on my website for something and sees that Eric is on my resources page. Fifth layer, right? So that new client is definitely going to know that I would trust Eric to do an amazing job if I'm highlighting him in these kind of layered effects. So that's what I mean by layering.
That seems like a lot to do. I mean, BNI members are going to think about this and go, wow, that's a lot. So talk to me about that briefly.
It is a lot. And what's our philosophy?
Giver's gain.
Giver's gain, right? So the more that we're promoting people in a layered effect, the easier we will be able to give more referrals. And I want people to create these little referral machines so that giving referrals becomes easier for them.
Yeah. And then they end up getting referrals as a result of the fact that people are supporting them so substantially. And although this takes time, time spent doing things like this really represent your marketing time in my mind. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Any closing thoughts before we hand it back to Priscilla?
No, my ask is please start this. Please try layering this. Choose your best referral source. Make it as reciprocal as you possibly can. But I believe that every person can create a few true referral machines for several of their best sources.
I think that's fantastic information. I appreciate you being on, Dawn. Priscilla is in your region. And yeah. Priscilla, I haven't done this probably enough. Tell us how people can get to your website, which you're in Dawn's region.
Oh, thanks, Ivan. That would be great. They can go to liveoakstudio.com and see all the services we provide and all the amazing projects that we've worked on.
You bet. Dawn, thank you so much for being on BNI Podcast again. You're one of the most active participants in the BNI Podcast, and I appreciate everything that you've contributed.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Priscilla.
Thank you, Priscilla. And everyone, leave a comment here on BNI Podcast. I read all your comments. Over to you, Priscilla.
Okay, well, that was just great. Thank you so much for the great information. This podcast is sponsored by MeisnerAudioPrograms.com. These audio programs will provide you with the tools and the inspiration to powerfully enhance your BNI experience. So check out the great material that's available to you at MeisnerAudioPrograms.com and use the promo code IVAN50 for 50% off of everything. All of the proceeds go to the BNI Foundation. Thank you so much for listening. This is Priscilla Rice, and we look forward to having you join us again next week for another exciting episode of the official BNI Podcast.